Hello everybody and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. Today I have a very cool invention for you. It's called Infinity Cake. It wasn't made by me, it was made by SethBling, and I saw it in his Ghost Squadron map. So I asked him if I could make this tutorial. He said it was okay, and I just wanted to show you guys how to make this because it is incredibly useful for map makers and possibly for other people as well. So what is Infinity Cake? Well, we have a piece of cake on this piston here, and when I remove it a moment later, it takes around 10 seconds each time actually, the way I have it set up. But another piece of cake will appear on top of it. And so the reason that this is useful, there it is right there, is because if you have a pre-game lobby, people run around in survival or adventure mode and their hunger meter goes down. So in order for them to get that back up, they need to eat, and that can involve giving them items, or if you place down cake, they're going to eat it and the cake is going to disappear. So if you don't want to give them items, then cake is the good solution. However, you can't, dispense it out of a dispenser, or there's no way to replenish it basically once it's been placed. But this is the way that you can, and it involves using a spawner. So it means you can put this in your world, players are able to eat, but they won't be able to pick up any items. So if we have a look under here, you're going to see that there is a spawner, and this spawner is trying to spawn a falling sand entity that has the tile ID of the cake. And so when there's space and it falls down, it will land on top of the piston, and then a new cake block will appear, and that is incredibly useful. So I'm going to be showing you how to do this with MCEdit. There's going to be no download for this because it's relative to where it's trying to spawn the cake block. So unless your map is in exact same position and it happens to be the same coordinates, then it's not going to be useful to you. So I'm going to show you how to do this in MCEdit, and what we need to do first of all is prepare ourselves to actually make this. So you'd go into your world, you place down a powered block and a piston, and by the way, the piston is just for looks because it makes a nice table. So whatever it is, you could just have a block that you want the cake to appear on top of, like this, but we're going to do it with a piston for the sake of it looking nice. So yeah, you place down the blocks in your world where you want the Infinity Cake to go, and then you place the cake on top of it, and then you open up MCEdit. So here we are in MCEdit, and what you want to do is open up the world that you were just working in. That was showcase world for me, so open that one up there, and you can see it's going to point us exactly where we were looking where we logged out, which is good because we've got our cake here. You can see over there we have the other spawner as well. So what you need to do, and you will need some particular filters, so in the description box there will be a link to the free filters that you need, and also MCEdit as well. So you select the cake block like this, and then you go down to filter, and you need to select one called Sandify, which is down here. And then you don't need to worry about any of these, just click on filter, and what it's done now is it's created a falling sand block that has the tile ID of the cake block. So you can see it's selected in that box there, it's the red one. However, what we need to do next is go back to the select tool and just make our selection area slightly larger like this. And that is because when it picks up the tile entity, sometimes it can't put the spawner in the same block. So we just need to make our selection slightly bigger. If we go back to filter and go all the way to create spawners, I do believe it is, there it is, and we need to tick this box right here, include position data, and that is very important because that means it's going to take that tile ID of the falling sand, and it's going to spawn it in the same position as well. So we click on filter, and then you can see it's created a spawner over to the side there, so we need to use the select tool and just select that like this. Okay, go back to the select, and then we can cut, and then we can paste that down. So this is where you just want to put that out of sight. You can actually put it quite far away, however you've got to bear in mind that it should be relatively close to where your players are because it's activated by the distance it is away from players. So then import that and put it in the position that you want it. Go to filters and go to change spawner properties. Now there's a whole bunch of numbers here. The first three work on ticks, so 20 equals 1 second. So if we put this up to 100, then that'll be every 5 seconds it will try and spawn a cake. And so the previous one that I had tried to do that every 10 seconds. So we do that on the minimum and maximum, and then the regular spawn delay here is the delay when you first go to activate it, so that adds another 5 seconds there. Then spawn count you can leave at 1, entity cap you need to place to 1, and detection range is how far away from the player it is. So depending on the size of your lobby, you don't really need to make it any bigger than that. But for the sake of this video, let's just make it 8 so you can see that in action. And then you click on filter, and then that is pretty much it. You're done. When we go back into the world, that spawner is going to be spawning cake blocks on top of this piston. So all you need to do is save and then exit MCEdit. I've logged back into the showcase world, and you can see here that there is no cake on top of the piston and the mob cage isn't active. So if we go over towards it, we're going to activate the mob cage, and then before long it's going to place a cake on top of the piston like that. And so one important thing to remember here is that the radius for detecting players is relative to the cage and not to where the cake is being placed. So we could have this placing cake all the way over there in the distance, and so if you have this in your lobby, you need the cage to be nearby, or you could have it far away and have a really large detection radius, but it's probably a good idea just to have it under the ground nearby so it can detect the players when they're near the cake and then spawn new ones in for when it's been removed. So that is it for this video. There's a link to MCEdit and the free filters that you'll need to do this in the description box down below, and you can also find some links to my other tutorials there as well as on the screen. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.